Mnogo vremena je prošlo otkako je neki vozač s ovih prostora učestvovao u svetskom šampionatu u motociklizmu, a onda se pojavio Lukas Tulović, doduše nemački motociklista, ali poreklom s ovih prostora. Lukas je debitovao u Moto2 kategoriji na Velikoj nagradi Španije 2018. kao zamena, a naredne sezone je dobio stalno mesto u Kiefer Racingu. Nažalost, nemački tim je izgubio svoje mesto u šampionatu od prošle sezone, pa tako i Tulović. Spas je pronašao u Moto1 kategoriju koja je prošle godine imao zapažene rezultate kao vozač Tech 3 tima, za koji vozi i ove sezone, paralelno sa CEF šampionatom. To je savršena prilika da bolje upoznamo Lukasa. Uživajte! Hi Lucas, thank you for taking time to talk with us. We had a chance to meet you on the track, but this is a way to meet you, for your Serbian fans to get to know you a little bit better outside the track. So first of all, can you tell us something about your Serbian roots?
My Serbian roots, of course. My father's side is coming from there. From Gornji Milanovac. I don't know if the pronouncing was perfect. And my grandfather and my grandmother are still living there, and we visit them sometimes when we have time. And then my father was coming to Germany, I think with 12, 13 years, but he still speaks the language and everything. But unfortunately, I don't. But I try to learn a little bit Serbian, but it's not so easy now with all the things I have to do in the racing. But yeah, I'm proud to have this how do you say, this origin, and yeah, I also like the country and the culture, and the food is very good. So yeah, it's nice.
We will teach you some of the words when we meet you again at the track. But can you tell me how did you fall in love with motorbikes?
It's from my father. When he was around 30 years, he started riding on the tracks. And when I was a small kid, I was with him in the Nürburgring, Hockenheim, on some tracks in Germany, and I saw all the bikes passing by, all the sound, the noise, the emotions. And then I also said to my father, I also want to ride, I want a bike. And then we started step by step, and now I'm here.
Who was the rider you wanted to look up to then when you were young?
Oh, for me, was always Valentino Rossi. Since I'm very small, he was on the top in the World Championship, and he's still there with, I think, 41 years now of age. And it's for me, it's very impressive to see him for so many years on the top level of the World Championship. And since I was a small kid, I was watching the MotoGP races on TV, and he was always there.
We don't know a lot about your career up to the World Championship. Can you tell us something about the path that you took up until Moto2?
Yeah, we started in 2006 in the German Mini Moto Championship, and I did this championship for 4 years, also together with the European Championship and some races in Belgium and the Netherlands. And after that, I went to a little bit bigger bikes, mini bike called in Germany. And I did this also for 2 years, also won the European Championship in 2011 with this bike. And then we went on another step for 2013, 14, the first time on big tracks. And then I decided to jump directly to a 600 because I was already too tall to go on a Moto3 bike. So I was doing 1 year in Germany on the 600, and then in 2016 my first year in Moto2 in the European Championship.
How did that transition to World Championship looked like for you?
Yeah, it's very tough. The step is quite big, and the level in the World Championship is super high, especially for a young guy coming from Germany. Because when you're riding here in Spain and you grow up with this, you are more used to it. But in Germany, in the young championships, when you go then to Spain, it's a big jump, and then when you go to the World Championship, it's another big jump. So you really have to improve a lot in a short amount of time to be able to fight with those guys. So it's very tough.
Did the fact that you rode for a German team help you in some way?
Yeah, now I'm this year also in the Moto2 European Championship with the Liqui Intact GP Junior team, and of course it's some kind of advantage to have some people in the team also speaking the same language, because especially on the bike, when you have some feelings, you can always describe it a little bit better in your native language, and can be some kind of advantage for sure. But in Moto E, for example, I'm with a French team with Tech 3, and it's also working very good.
Let's go back to that one full season you had in Moto2. How are you satisfied with it?
Not quite. I think I didn't have the, let's say, the best possibilities to show my potential, because I was with the KTM chassis in this year, and it was the last year with the KTM chassis in the World Championship. After this year, they stopped their project, and I think in this year it was not the most competitive bike in the paddock. So especially for me as a rookie, new in this category, the youngest rider in this category in this year, it was super tough to fight with those guys in the World Championship that have many years of more experience. And I think I'm pretty sure with another material I could have done a better job. But that's what I'm trying to do now, deliver results to get another chance in the World Championship with a better material.
What are the lessons you learned then?
The lessons I learned in World Championship. One of the main things is every time I was on track and I thought I'm super fast, I'm on the limit. In World Championship, there are so many guys that can even do another step or two more steps. So it's super tough to be competitive there and be there in front fighting for the victories, because the level is so super high, and you really need to match everything together: the physical, the team, the material. So many things need to work to be competitive and to be able to fight there on the top. And for this year, we also changed many things in my surrounding. I have a new management, I have a new team, many new trainer, many things changed. So we try to work on those things to improve and to have a better performance on track.
You were left without a place in Moto2 because of the decision for you were left without the place in Moto2 2 seasons ago, because of the decision that Kiefer Racing will no longer be part of the World Championship. Can you talk us through everything that happened then? Because I know you had contract, team had plans, but everything worked out outside the track, and you were the one who lost, I think, the most.
Yeah, it was tough for me, because in the beginning of the season the results have been not too bad for the situation and the first season in World Championship, and then the decision came, okay, Kiefer Racing won't have this place in the World Championship anymore. Also for me will be tough to find another spot to ride for the upcoming season. So in my head it was a little bit like a switch. Okay, this will be for now the end. So I was not sure about my future. It was tough for me, and then also my performance, my mentality went a little bit down, and the results have not been the best, to be honest. And that was for sure the reason that I couldn't find another seat for the upcoming season, because of the results, of course. And now last year in European Championship in Moto E, we made made some solid results, but not enough. And that's why I'm now in this team and in this championship to perform on a good level to be how you say to gain this and to deserve a seat for World Championship.
In some way, you stayed in the World Championship because Moto E is a part of it. How much was it important to make that step, even though those are electric bikes, just to be on the radar of the other teams in Moto2 or maybe even MotoGP?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's for me, it's an interesting category because everybody's on the same bike. There are many different riders from many different categories. We have world endurance riders, former MotoGP, former Moto2 riders, young riders coming up, old experienced riders. So everybody's going together. Everybody's on the same bike, same tires. And that's what makes it super interesting for me because you can make a real difference as a rider because everything is very close together. And of course, it's part of the MotoGP World Championship in 6 events this year. So you have some attention. You stay in the MotoGP paddock. You can stay in touch with the teams and everybody there. So for me, it's a good possibility to show myself, to show some potential, of course.
As you mentioned, apart from Moto E, you are riding in European Championship. How do you manage all those obligations that you have with races almost every week?
Yeah, it's quite a lot. Now to start to kick off the season, I had 2 tests. Now I'm here in Portugal for the first race of the European Championship. Next week there will be the first race in Moto E in Jerez. Then the week after, the next race in European Moto2 Championship in Valencia, and then Moto E in Le Mans. So 5 weeks in a row, 2 tests for race weekends. So it's quite a lot. I'm traveling around all the time on the bike. Yeah, it's a lot, but I enjoy it a lot and I like it. It's my passion. And that's why it's working. Also, beside of that, I'm also studying at the police in Germany. So I'm not only riding, I'm also studying. So there are many things together, and to manage all is quite difficult.
But you had some similar experience last season. You rode both of those championships. How much will that fact that you know what are you up against help you this year?
Yeah, it's kind of the same like last year. Say 2 same championships. Only the studying in the police comes extra on top. But I had things like this already in the past. I made in 2018. I made a Moto2 European Championship, Spanish Championship on a stock 600, and still the school together. So it was kind of the same like I have this year. So I'm used to having a lot of things all together, and it's working. You have to manage all your time, all your things. It's sometimes very stressful, but I enjoy it.
And what are your ambitions for this season?
To be honest, I have quite some ambitions. We've been training and working very hard this winter. We changed, like I already said, a lot of things, and I want to be in the Moto E, fighting for the top 5 positions at the top, and to be competitive. And we had quite a good test already in Jerez, so everything looks positive. And here in the Moto2 European Championship, we want to be constantly in the top 3 positions.
Last year in Moto E, you had some good results. You were pretty fast in the qualifying. It was something new to you, also for some other riders like Egerter. And can you tell us how was it to ride an electric bike after everything that you rode during your career?
Yeah, it's something you can't compare to anything else. It's of course the bike is very heavy. It has around 265 kilos. So my Moto 2 in comparison has 142 kilos. So it's quite a big difference. And also the way how you open the throttle is so different. In the slow corners, when you put a lot of lean angle, you have so much torque and so much power. So you really have to be careful opening the throttle, because that's how I crashed. When you can see this last year in Misano, I broke the hand and I had a big high side in the first lap in turn 2. So in the slow corners, opening the throttle is critical, but also you have to do it perfectly, because you can win or lose a lot of time there. And then in the fast corners, completely differently than on a normal bike, you can open the throttle very easily and quickly to the full throttle, because there's not so much torque anymore for the high speed. And on the other bike, normal bike, let's say like this, when you have the high RPM, the engine has more power, and there you have to be a little bit more careful. So it's kind of reverse. And to change this style, riding the bike is it was in the beginning very difficult for me. And luckily we had a test last year to kick off the season, and I could fit on the bike and see how it works. And then as soon as I understood how to handle the bike, it's working quite well. So now changing back from Moto E to Moto 2, I need maybe a few laps, but then I can go fast.
Many were against racing on electrical bikes in the past, but when Moto E started, many were surprised by the level of racing in those races. Were you also surprised, or were you expecting that?
I kind of expected it, because the races are short. We have one lap of qualifying. We have 7, 8 laps races. So there's not so much time to manage the tire, to look to the opponent. So you have to start the race and be directly on the point, fight for every position, for every second. So that's why this category and these short races are super interesting, because it is so close and it's so short, and you really have to fight every lap, every corner to make a good result. And that's why the racing is also very interesting.
You mentioned some differences between a regular bike and Moto e-bike, but what about the feeling you have while riding one or the second one? Can you compare those feelings or not?
The feeling. Also, the important thing for the feeling is the tire. Always for a rider. In Moto 2 we are riding Dunlop, and in Moto E we have Michelin tires. And the Michelin tires we have in Moto E, they are very similar to the MotoGP tires, slick and rain tires. And those tires are really incredible. We have very soft compounds, because we have short races and short qualifyings. And the grip of these tires it's amazing. It's incredible. And Michelin also made an incredible job to improve the performance over the race distance. So this year we have a really good tire there. And so the feeling entering to the corners, even with the 260 kilo bike, is quite good, and you can really manage the aggressive bike with the tire very well. But of course, when you jump on a Moto 2, you have 120 kilo less. The bike is much more agile. You can brake much harder to the corner. You feel the rear coming up, what is almost impossible in Moto E, because the bike is too heavy. So you can really feel a lot more the limit. You can move the bike more on the limit, what is more difficult on the Moto E, because it's so heavy. And you have wheelies, you have faster acceleration. And I know the Moto 2 Dunlop tires already for many years now, so I know very good how they behave and how I feel on the bike, what is the limit. So I feel good on both bikes, but it's very difficult to compare the feelings. But yeah, for the Moto E, the grip and the acceleration is amazing. And in Moto 2, it's just nice how the bike behaves with the weight, sliding in the corners, drifting, wheelies out of slow corners. It's also a very nice feeling.
You mentioned that your goal is to get back to Moto2 in the near future. I know it's pretty early in the season, but do you know if there are some possibility for maybe next year?
Or no, for now I can't say anything about it because I honestly don't know anything. So for now, the main focus is on this season to be fast, to be successful, reach our goals, and when you are successful and when you are fast, everything will come. So now over the winter, and for now we just focus on being successful, being fast, some podiums, maybe even some victories, and what comes next, we will see maybe in the mid of the season if there are some possibilities.
You mentioned the changes that you made since the last season to this one. What are your expectations regarding how much can that help you? In what way?
Yeah, we changed over the winter quite a lot on my training, physical training, together with my trainer and my new management at home. And also during the COVID situation, I had quite good possibilities to train. Also thankful to the police in Germany, they have a good sport area where you can train. So I had quite good possibilities to prepare myself for this season, to get fit, and I'm now as fit as I've never been, not even for the World Championship. So my level is quite good, and I'm very mentally strong for this because I know what I can do and what I can reach. And yeah, I have a new management that gives me also some support, and new team, of course, with the Liqui Moly Intact GP team. We have this year amazing crew, amazing bike. So it's just up to me to deliver those results.
You said that you are studying to be police officer. If I'm correct, do you know that when you finish, you won't be the only one in the World Championship who is a police officer?
I think there are some Italians.
Yeah, Petrucci is one. He was working for some times as a police officer, I think, in traffic. I'm not sure because he was like the only one who mentioned that publicly. But for the end, do you have some message for your fans, because there are quite a lot of them here in Serbia?
Oh, that makes me really happy. Yeah, I just wish me the best of luck for this season, and I will give for sure everything to make some good results and make you happy in Croatia, Serbia, wherever. And yeah, hopefully we will see each other in near future in the paddock to make some cool interviews, and hopefully in the next few years back in the World Championship.
Yes, I hope so too, because we miss all of you, all the riders, and going to the tracks. But when situation improves, maybe we will be there more often than it was the case even in the past. Thank you, Lucas. It was my pleasure. I wish you good luck during this season, and we will be in touch, and hopefully we will talk about good results that you had.
Hvala.
Thank you. Bye.